everybody. It's 2 in the a.m. here in L.A. because we just got out of Oppenheimer, which is a long movie, and we could only find seats for a 10:30 screening. IMAX. Hey, Isha, what's up? Isha, it's we are in Burbank. We just got out of Oppenheimer, which is it second time for me, first time for Sebastian. Yeah. I will say it gripped me just as much the second time. It's a fantastic drama.
Man, it's one I really will need to digest over the first few days. First of all, I have to say, I'm really impressed that this Nolan.
We'll meet later this week. We have to go to. I have to go to sleep. Yeah. but Isha loved it. Yes. Yeah. Well, we loved it as well.
I mean, the fact Nolan made this serious drama based on American Prometheus and has now released it around the world.
Yes.
It's selling out IMAX. I think that in itself is remarkable. And we're going to do, as we mentioned in our Barbie first impression, we're going to do an episode going into these movies more, bringing in some other movies. But I think I'll say, because we're not going to spoil anything, it took me a while to kind of get into the pace of what Nolan was trying to do. But once I got into it, I was you're just transfixed by the performances. And
Cillian Murphy, just amazing. Probably will be nominated.
Yeah, one of the best scores of the year. I mean,
what Nolan does in this movie, and again, we won't spoil too much because we're doing a longer episode.
Also, it's 2 a.m. and
it's 2 a.m. and we are because we did the double bill. But what Nolan does is like a great throwback to those grand dramas that they used to make in the 90s, and I'm thinking of like Oliver Stone's Nixon,
or even An Angel on My Table, which I know is a very different subject matter, but in terms of the scope of telling a life story.
But I'm thinking of like this big budget style, right? Directors used to command, where it's edited with this frenetic but captivating style, and the music is grandiose and never stops. And I'm also thinking a movie we brought up earlier was Michael Mann's The Insider. It's these kind of dramas that used to be more common, that were driven not so much by violence or action,
or even plot. It's about people just figuring things out. It's about the decision men.
It's about politics. It's about ideas. It's about a life lived.
Well, this is really one of the. So the movie spans quite a few decades, but let's say the biggest chunk of the movie is about the creation of the first atomic bomb, the first A bomb.
In this garage,
I guess so. Hey, out to party, but
Yes.
But we rarely get World War II movies, so to speak, that really focuses on the people in suits, the brains. You have movies like Failsafe, which did that, which we talked about last year. But not very many. A lot of them like to focus on the big battles and the boots on the ground.
And some of the ones that have attempted this story before were not even that great. I'm thinking of the infamous 1989 movie Fat Man and Little Boy with Paul Newman and John Cusack, which is infamously bad. Although I do recommend to see it just for fun. I think it's for free on Canopy right now if you want to kind of just compare the two movies. But this one is really about two things. It's about this brilliant man who is...
And flawed.
Yes, I was going to say that he's brilliant but flawed, who's swept up by history. And his it's interesting because his flaws at the beginning of the movie are kind of like what propel him to lead the Manhattan Project.
His impulses,
the fact that he lives in his head, the fact that he's
a ladies' man.
He's terrible with practical things, but he's really amazing at what his vocation is. And then in the third act of the movie, and we won't say how, we won't spoil too much, but all that turns against him. And at the
it shows how I know a lot of, as you might have heard in politics lately, that the phrase witch hunt gets
Yeah.
thrown around. It's kind of lost any meaning. It's kind of turned into a joke at this point. But this film really deals with the McCarthy era type witch hunts.
Well, the
where-
Red Scare, yeah.
The
yeah.
Red Scare, and how everything you did in your life, in an instant, if the U.S. government decided, they would just use it against you.
Well, because one thing I appreciate about Nolan's script, and this is one of the few he's written completely by himself, is he used to co-write with his brother. What I appreciated was he didn't leave out, like many Hollywood movies do, he didn't leave out the ideological battles of the period. So the movie explores how in the 30s, and in that whole pre-World War II period, you had the intellectual class discussing ideas like communism, Marxism,
Unionizing, which is
unionizing.
extremely relevant now.
Very relevant. People would support the Spanish Civil War struggle. They would support the
Yes.
Republic against fascism because they saw that as
More-
your duty as a progressive, as an
It's
intellectual.
just the right thing to do.
Yeah, and then the movie goes into how later, after the war, when that whole World War II period passed, all of a sudden, those associations you had, those anti-fascist associations you had, all of a sudden, it turns against you. And I appreciate that Nolan, who's mostly known, not as a, obviously not as a thoughtless director, because
No.
all his movies are brainy,
Very high
and
concept.
High concept. They
Yeah.
deal with a lot of scientific concepts and processes.
Well, like his last one, for example, which I like. I think you've warmed up a little bit, but I would say in general like it more than
Tenet.
you. Tenet. I mean, it's this high octane, extremely crazy action movie, and this is the complete opposite. Although it's kind of not the DNA, but some of the ideas that he flirts around with in Tenet, you can see his brain spinning for Oppenheimer.
Well, this idea of science manipulated or being weaponized, is a very interesting concept in Tenet. And then, and it's also in Inception, the way they
Sure.
use this idea of infiltrating dreams to then use it for weaponized purposes. But of course, Oppenheimer is nonfiction, and I really think you see him growing here as a director because his Nolan-esque style is there. The music that never stops.
And it does one of the best. I might have said it already. I don't even. I'm so tired. One of the best scores of the year, done
Yeah.
by the great Ludwig Göransson.
Great score,
who
yeah.
you might know. He won the Oscar for Black Panther. He also did the score for Tenet, which I think is great.
Fantastic score. And here that the cinematography that's very Nolan-esque by Hoytema, his typical DP,
Yes,
his
Hoyt van Hoytema.
who's been his DP since Interstellar. And of course the IMAX 70
Yeah.
millimeter, it's all there, but it's at the service again of a drama that's driven more by ideas and battles of wills and questions
Yes.
of science, questions of progress, questions
Factions
of
in the
war.
science community, which
Yeah.
people think that scientists are just, even in physics, it's a homogenous group. And what, as you mentioned, what you see in this movie is absolutely not.
Yeah,
At
well-
Los Alamos, they people left, people fought. It was.
Well, you see exactly, and this is not a spoiler at all, but the film, for example, emphasizes the battle between the ideological battle between Oppenheimer and Edward Teller, who is Teller is the father of the hydrogen bomb. So you kind of see how their ideas clash throughout the movie. And it's very well done. It's a movie that doesn't treat the audience like it's stupid.
No, not at all.
And for me, it was
it's definitely one that I will need to digest a little bit to really, I don't know, just think about more, just figure out where I land on how much I liked it. Because, I mean, it's a lot. It really leaves you just like...
it's a massive film. I mean, but I would say in general, I really liked it.
I also want
because
to
of what
catch
it
up on
does.
some extra material. There's a great documentary I'll see recommended.
The Day After Trinity, you can see it for free on the Criterion Channel, actually, right
and,
now. If
one or two other movies that I think would be a great counterbalance that we'll bring into our Do We Recommend,
Yes.
which we'll record in the next few days
in the next few days or so. And for me personally, it was also fun to watch. I went to Los Alamos last year and went to Oppenheimer's house and there's a cabin, a giant log cabin that appears in the movie where the scientists hang out. It was kind of fun going to those places and seeing Nolan seeing that Nolan had actually filmed there. So that was cool. But is it worth seeing in 70 minutes?
Oh, I'm
yes.
sure.
Yes, definitely. Because, okay, who knows what trends are going to happen now because of the whole Barbenheimer success this weekend. But I would say right now, this is one of the few times you're going to see a movie like this in 70 millimeter. It's not Avatar, which is still a great movie. It's not, The Flash. It's not one of those things. It's one of the few times you'll see like an intellectual drama filmed in this scope with this kind of production value. If it wasn't Nolan, this movie would have been made 20 times smaller, and it would have played like at the Laemmle
thriller,
or would have played at like the Laemmle,
sure.
and you would have had to seen it because of word of mouth that went around. But it's quite something, and we're still processing it.
We'll talk a little bit more in the coming week. But yeah, we just wanted to share some early thoughts. It's kind of sweltering right now. We're in the garage,
and we survived the Barbenheimer double bill. We did Barbie earlier today.
At
you can see
Alamo Draft House.
At the Alamo Draft House, you can see our review here on our Instagram. We also taped a quick reaction in case you missed it, and because, as someone accurately said on the internet, it's harder to get tickets for this movie than to Taylor Swift. So we had to see both, and one day we then had to get tickets to an Oppenheimer screening in Burbank. So we were at the Alamo Draft House in downtown, and then we came out here to Burbank to see. We saw Barbie in the Draft House, and then we came out here to see Oppenheimer in Burbank. So it's been quite a day.
We were with our producer Jose, who split because he's also really tired.
Because he's passing out. His girlfriend Sabrina joined us for Oppenheimer, and I think they had a great time. But it is 2 a.m, and
we'll leave you with that till we do our Do We Recommend. Obviously,
watch out for it this week.
Obviously, it'll be more than Do We Recommend, because I say for very different reasons we'd recommend them.
And we're gonna dive in deeper
a little bit
into
more.
the things
It's
we're talking about.
all non-spoilers,
Yes.
because we try and record these kind of when new films come out.
But
we'll leave some recommendations, and I think we'll talk more about the texture, criticism.
Also, because we're still processing it.
Yeah.
We're gonna take 48 hours or so to put together our thoughts on because it's true. Again, it's kind of cool how it's such a hit and it's so hyped, because it's not a simplistic film.
No.
I mean, this is like a very layered,
look at the audience reaction when they walked out. It's like they didn't even know what to process.
They were so shocked.
And I'm, I was kind of joking. Like,
unintended.
I was like, hey guys, it's kind of hard to have reactions to a movie that doesn't have 26 different comic book cameos. It's like you actually have to digest a film and think about the tapestry of the film.
Again,
which is good. I mean, I hope the people in our theater will, either tomorrow over coffee or tonight in the car, just kind of talk about films.
It's the kind of movie you really want to. Well, and even let's say if you're not a huge film buff and you go see this movie, hopefully you'll be discussing the ideas in the film,
yes,
and the characters and who Oppenheimer was, and maybe you'll want to go read the book Nolan adapted, American Prometheus, which is a very good book. But more on that later this week, because we have to get going.
Thanks for tuning in, and still working on Michael Mann. That is coming up soon. Still doing our research. It's a big project.
Funny enough, we will probably even bring you surprising connections between this movie and Michael Mann. So if you want to do some deep dives into some serious film and critiques and history, stay tuned. But hopefully, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Have a great Monday. See you all soon.
Peace.